and welcome back to Serenity with Lawna. I am Lawna, and today we're just going to go through a little bit of my story before I was diagnosed before I was diagnosed with pulmonary arterial hypertension and end-stage congestive heart failure. So before I was diagnosed, like typical life, right? There's nothing really special that I could really say about my health. I was very bronchial. I was very prone to pneumonia, and I definitely had some lung infections and that kind of thing, but there was nothing overtly there that really said that there was something that was wrong. That I have had a congenital heart defect since I was a baby, and that really played into this and would have been something that could have been great to know so that I could have started treatment earlier and not had the heart damage that I have now, since pulmonary arterial hypertension is really just high blood pressure in between the lungs and the heart. And unfortunately, we left mine for so long that I am in a stage of congestive heart failure that is irreversible. So I was very hard on myself during my life, go hard person in gymnastics and running, and I also had an eating disorder at one point in time. So all of these factors probably added to the stress that my body was under and that my heart was under. This was an issue that could have been corrected. But anyway, I had an okay pregnancy, except I definitely noticed that I was short of breath. Third, fourth month of my pregnancy, and it got to the point where I was teaching at a college, and I was also the placement department head, and I couldn't walk up the stairs to get to my class was on the third floor, and I couldn't walk up the stairs anymore. So that was a factor. Like I couldn't say hi to like the students in the halls. I would get upstairs, and then I would make a joke about like, don't smoke, kids, because I was a smoker in my life. This is what you'll get. And I would have to be sick, or I'd just have to sit there still for 10 minutes, and I'd end up coughing. And by like 5 months, 6 months, I hadn't gained a lot of weight. Like my bump was still really small. There was just little factors. I couldn't keep anything down. I was throwing up all the time. I was very easy to be sick, and especially if I was going to take the stairs or walk up a small incline, which was, I mean, I'm in my early 30s. I shouldn't have that problem at all. And by the end of my pregnancy, we have a stair chair in our house, and we finally moved from Toronto to my hometown where I grew up, because one, like my health was deteriorating, and two, I needed my mom, right? And that's basically it. And three, I wasn't getting the proper prenatal care and pregnancy care that I really felt like I needed. So that was really difficult. And so I came up here, I got myself situated with a birthing center or an OBGYN, and things were okay. I mean, it was pretty much women run, and you rotated through the doctors. Was on when you had your baby. But because my baby was breached the entire pregnancy, and she, like, hands above the head like this, feet pike position, very uncomfortable. Every day at 5:30, her head would move under my right rib, and it was just super uncomfortable. By the time I was 9 months, I was just over it. Never mind like having to anything by that point. And so we moved up north, and here we have a stair chair. So by the end of my pregnancy, I would have to take the stair chair. For months after my pregnancy, I had to as well, because I didn't have the energy, I didn't have the capacity, I couldn't breathe. So for healthcare isn't all that great. So ERs are closing down, or they're not open overnight or on the weekend, like prime time for accidents or for people. And we live in an area that is high population of seniors, so you would think that we would have access to better healthcare. Anyway, that's a whole different topic. But what it comes down to is the hospital that I was supposed to give birth at was 45 minutes away. And I had my scheduled C-section for the Wednesday, but the Friday before, I knew I had gone into labor. I knew that that this was it. But the doctors had told me, and to this day, I don't know if it was a joke because it seemed pretty serious, but they said, don't come in on the weekend and definitely do not come overnight on the weekend. So it was about 4 p.m. when I started having contractions on the Friday, and I basically just went, all right, like I can't go in. I'm gonna try to like prolong this as long as I could. Saturday I was pretty much in bed, and then on Sunday morning I said to my partner, I can't do this anymore. Like, we have to go to the hospital. So we got the bag, we got in the car, and I was just, I'm surprised I didn't have, like, she wasn't just, yeah, born wherever. But we got to the hospital, scaled them or whatever on the machine, that thing at each other, like, is this girl actually in labor? I knew I was, and they weren't listening to anything that I said themselves. It was very harsh, and I had a really hard time, but like, I was going through the motions to go. So the doctor comes in, the bugger broke your water, and I was like, yeah, I told you. And it was just like so dismissing that I had said, my water broke, this is where I'm at, I know my body, and nobody was listening. So he's like, all right, I'll see you in an hour. I'm like, oh wow, okay. So we got there at noon on a Sunday, and by 1 o'clock my baby was born. It was a whirlwind of an experience, and it was very traumatic, and there was some like really strange things that happened. To this day, I'm still not over, and I'm not sure that I'll ever fully forgive the people that helped me during that time, because it was just so, their behavior was gross, and that's all I can really say about that. So anyway, the point that I want to get back to is, so she was born on the Sunday. I think we went home the Tuesday, and pressure had started to rise, and it had said on my release forms, book a follow-up with your doctor so that you can get your blood pressure monitored, and hopefully things will have gone back to normal. Like, I was rising. This doctor on the Sunday had come back in to like look up the chain and also order a lung. And he goes, oh, it's just anxiety. So he ordered Ativan, and I pretty much knocked. Ilya now has a new baby. He's not really sure what to do, and I'm passed out for 12 hours because of the medication that they gave me. And it was just so, it was an awful experience. I felt so bad. I was not well. I can, yeah, it bothers me to talk about. So I go home, I'm really not well, and over the next few days, like, I start swelling more, I start not feeling good. Ilya calls the hospital. They say, yeah, come on back, right? We're happy to see you. And she had been really great, so we didn't think anything of it. After, I was supposed to start work the next week again, and unfortunately I had to go to the hospital on, I think it was the Saturday. I woke up in the morning, and I had this neck pain that I couldn't turn my neck, I couldn't move. And it was just so disturbing. Of course I have, right? And I'm trying to heal from these things. And I got to the bathroom, and my face was so swollen. Like, I knew something was wrong because of the pressure in my head, but I was so swollen that I could barely see. You could barely see my eyes. And I was black and blue everywhere. My face, my arms, my legs. Everything was swollen and just black and blue. Oh my god, this is terrifying. So I said to Ilya, like, I guess we gotta go. I will not go to the hospital unless I know that there's something severely wrong. So we went. I fooled around. They gave me morphine, and when they gave me morphine, because of the problem I was having, it actually spiked the pain, and I went into like this gut-wrenching, I can't even describe what it was like, but I should be feeling nothing, and it just, my spine into my neck, and just like, I felt like my head was exploding. Anyway, and nah, no problem, she's fine, and was gonna let me go. I was at I think 118 on 160, 170, and ended up just like walking out, right? Stupid. I was like, I just left my baby, and these people are treating me like I'm nothing. Like, what did I do to deserve this? I called the OB. She's attached to the hospital that we went to, and she came and looked at my charts. And Ilya was like wrapping up some stuff in the hospital. I was in the car, sitting in the car, ready to go. And the birthing clinic that I was at came with Ilya to the car and said, if you leave right now, the chances that there's no chance that you're gonna make it, and you're either gonna have a heart attack or a stroke, and that will be it. Do this for your baby. And I thought, you know what, like, how dare you even bring up my baby? I came here to get help, and you guys sent me home. Why are you guilt tripping me and manipulating me with saying, do this for your daughter? All right. So I go back in. I was like, I want my baby. So Ilya went back home. They put me on the birthing unit floor again so that I could have my baby with me. And for the next 3 or 4 days, I was pumped. Like, I lost 10 pounds, 11 pounds in fluid. I guess I was retaining it. I obviously went down a little bit in the swelling, but I was still black and blue. People would look at Ilya like, you're a horrible man, because I looked like I was beaten. But yeah, I didn't get any answers. I saw the cardiologist. He played it really casual. He basically went, nah, you're good, don't eat chips, and like laughed it off, which was what I was used to my entire pregnancy, of saying, I know something's wrong. It was like, well, it's only going to get worse as the more pregnant you are, or you'll feel better when she comes. Like, I was in full-blown congestive heart failure, and nobody picked up on it. So thanks, guys. Doing your job. I'm still angry at this point in time, and I'm not sure I'll ever really get over that anger. Like, maybe a month later, and the cardiologist was just fiddling about with meds and not seeing me. When we saw him for the follow-up, he basically went, like, there's really nothing we can do. We want to send you for a VQ test. Oh, great. Like, he was basically out of the room while still talking and walking away. This guy looked really young, and even he looked really shocked. Like, I couldn't do anything. I could barely get from the bed to the bathroom without just collapsing and then being so out of breath. Like, that's severe pulmonary arterial hypertension. A PH clinic emails for the doctors, and they're online for UHN. I emailed, I said, this is my story, here are my tests, and I was scheduled for an angiogram. So when I went for that was one of the worst experiences of my life. And mind you, like, this is all happening within a short period of time. So my confidence in the medical or healthcare system is absolutely gone. I have no hope in anybody, and I just keep having worse and worse experiences. So I go for the angiogram. Ended up like walking out of there just like so angry and so upset, and feeling like my life was nothing. So thanks, London Hospital. Your techs at your imaging unit need to be checked on a little bit more. And if you are one and you're watching this, get it together, because, man, like, nobody deserves the type of treatment that I got when I was there. You can fight it all you want, but somebody's gonna end up really hurt under your care. Anyway, Dr. from UHN, the PH clinic, looked at all of my reports and said, yeah, we need to see you. So I've never done like a 6-minute walk, because started medication about 4 months ago, expecting that things would get better rapidly, and they don't. Sit here and talk like this and not cough and not get out of breath. This has only been about 3 to 4 weeks of being able to do that, and I only have about 3-4 days of that. The rest of the time I do get out of breath. I do cough a lot when I try to speak. Light movement exercise and like chair yoga, that kind of thing, but I couldn't do that. So it was a good year of like no activity, no exercise, which some of the fellows love to bring up when I complain about back pain or or I have different types of complaints about what I'm feeling, they're like, oh, you should be doing this exercise, and it's because like you're fat basically, and thanks. Like that's real helpful for me to any kind of rehab. So insert choice words here, if you will. I've been on triple combination medication therapy for the last 4 or 5 months. The side effects have been, I pretty much got all the side effects, and those have pretty much subsided now, except for like the crushing legs. I am so grateful for Toronto General and UHN and Dr. Granson, but at the same time, like it's been difficult, and there's been complications with them saying, relating my OCD diagnosis, which I've had under control for 4 or 5 years now. And I've gone back to the psychiatrist that made that diagnosis and has monitored it until like I was pretty much good to go. And she's like, no, there's no reason for that to even come up with the PH clinic. So I've had issues of them being like, you need to see a psychiatrist, and you need to get help with your mental health. So I was like, you know what, I'll take care of that. And I went back to therapy. I got a professional mentor so that I'm able to really work on the things that I need to, and they can't say anything about my mental health, because there will be another professional to say, no, she's good, like she's got this handled. And Dr. Granson had said a lot of patients want this to be combined in their treatment, and I'm sure they do, but they didn't mean like you focus on their mental health and you keep saying that this piece has to do with that. Like, no, my physical is primary and everything else is secondary. So let's focus on treating it and getting my pain management sorted, and also like focusing on the physical symptoms. I think we need to really focus on the fact that pulmonary hypertension and PAH patients know their bodies. Like, we're forced to get to a level of understanding, knowing our minds and our bodies, because we're trapped. Some of us are, right? We're not all in early stages when this gets found, and most of us aren't, because that's the thing. We're struggling with some of the same symptoms that I had. I would suggest that you don't go on a rabbit hole winding road of trying to figure this out. Get in touch with a PH clinic that is close to you, and see what you need to do to get seen by them. And 40 things. So when people say, oh, you're too young, in pregnancy and in Black women predominantly, and also we typically end up dying during or right after childbirth. So that is something to keep in mind, and I really think that there needs to be more awareness. Yes, this is a rare chronic progressive illness, but for the populations that it affects, I think more awareness needs to be spread, and what the signs are and how to go about getting the adequate care, because right now our healthcare system is just a mess, and almost dying is a thing. I've been there, and I wouldn't suggest it. I don't want anyone to ever have to experience the before, during, and after of my pregnancy story. I am so grateful that my baby girl is a healthy, typically developing baby, because there's and the chances of her having this because I had a congenital heart defect are high. So the only blessing in that is that if we catch it soon enough, then she won't end up like me and have end stage symptoms or an end stage prognosis. Probably skipped over so much, but this is the first time I made it through the entire story without crying, and I think that's good. So I went back to work. I was trying to fight through all of this. It was a terrible experience. I wouldn't suggest that, but also I think employers really need to know how to handle these situations better, and how to be supportive in a way to go, you know, I know my employees doing the best that they can. How can I give back, and how can I support them to be the best that they can be? Because my experience with going back to work and shouldn't have been what it was, that was traumatizing too. There was a lot of bullying. There was a lot of and just things that should never happen in a workplace. I was running my own organization and doing a few other projects, and it was an overwhelming time. We had a newborn. Ilya was getting adjusted to being a dad and being around a kid or an infant the other day, and said, like, I don't know how we got through this. I don't know how we're still standing, and I don't know how we still love each other. Incredible human being, and it's really unfortunate that we've had some experiences, especially with his family, that some of them have been present, but some of them haven't, and that they haven't been able to see his growth and been able to see the person that he's becoming and is, because it's been an incredible transformation. Some people are still really hung up on the past, and that's their own thing, I guess. I just hope that he holds true to the fact that he's one in a million. He is the best father. He loves that little girl so much. He loves me so much. And I couldn't have asked for a better partner in anything that we have experienced to this day. I don't know why that came up, but I guess it just had to come out anyway. So I will be on triple medication therapy for the foreseeable future. They cost about $109,000 altogether a year. And then I'm on 2 other medications now for pain and also for sleep, because I didn't sleep for like 13, 14 months and I was starting to go batty. I don't know how anybody can function with no sleep, a newborn, working, trying to pay bills, trying to live, knowing that you're dying, right? And they were a normal reaction to a very rare. That if you're having shortness of breath, if you're having a chronic cough, if you're having swelling in your arms, legs, face, if you're having really bad neck pain and headaches, you go to your doctor and you do what you need to do to get the testing that you need to find the relief or the cause, so that you do not end up in my position. It really sucks, and some days it hits me harder. Like, I have days where I cry 2, 3, 4 times, and it's not because I'm sad or I want things to change. It's just like, man, this is happening, and all of my trauma, all of my experiences are coming out, and that's okay. I mean, we're really isolated and we haven't really been around a lot of people, and a lot of people haven't tried to be there, so that's been hard, and there's just been a lot of adjustments. I've had to figure out who I am again and what my purpose is in life besides being a mother and a partner. But like, I can't do the same things that I was able to do before. And what does that mean? So all of that has changed, and I needed to research, and I needed to put effort into it, and it was exhausting. It still is exhausting. The bright side of that, I have a wonderful family, and I wouldn't trade that for the world. So we just make do with what we have, and we just keep trying our best every single day. And that's all we can do. So thank you for listening to my story. Remember to take care of your health, take care of your mind, do the things that you need to do, and put yourself first, because ultimately, if you're not out for number one, nobody else is going to do those things. So, and you won't be here for them. So put yourself first. Self-care is not selfish. It is the best thing you can do. That will wrap up Serenity with Lawna for today. As always, lots of light, love, and good vibes. Peace.